Steam right now have its endless replayability fest with a lot of games on sale. The fest ends on May 20th. A lot of good games are presented here, a perfect opportunity to pick up games from your wishlist or titles you haven't had time to pick up yet. I have 10 games to recommend that you hopefully haven't heard about or played, so let's get to it. Withering Rooms. This is a horror RPG set in a procedurally generated Victorian mansion. A friend of mine recommended it, so I have bought it, but I haven't had time to play it much yet. It's kind of a slower and methodical game, with some hard encounters and bosses. The mansion changes each night and have a lot of secret passageways, treasures, weapons, magical artifacts, crafting materials to find and much more. The game of course also have some interesting characters, all with their own agenda, and the game also have 2.5D graphics, which I'm a huge fan of actually. It's an easy way to get depth into your game. But a really cool game. I really like the horror vibe and kind of the tough fights you have in the game. Next up is Teran Nil. This is a game all about transforming and restoring dead barren wastelands into a balanced ecosystem. It's definitely a more chill game where you first have to purify and clean up, for example, toxins in the ground, before you then can start alter the terrain and plant new trees and create an ecosystem that thrives. After that you can also upgrade buildings, alter the climate and much more in order to increase the diversity of the plant life. Wildlife is also important and the right types needs to be implemented. It's a really cool game with a lot more strategy than you might think, with a bit of puzzle solving thrown in there as well. Ship of Fools. This is kind of a beat 'em up on a ship where you also have to navigate and fire your cannons. This one is best played with a friend as the game is designed for co-op. It's a roguelite, so expect to do multiple runs, where you sail your own way across the sea as you defend, repair, find items in order to survive and stop the aquapocalypse. It's a fun game that reminds me a lot of Castle Crashers. The game have that quirky look and humor to it. It's a blast to play and gets chaotic real fast. Slipways. I found this during the fest and really got me interested. It's a strategy game set in space that have tried to remove everything tedious in larger grand scale space strategy games. And they've gone for a more focused and fast experience. In the game you have 25 years to create the best empire possible. This will take you roughly an hour in real life. The game have no military or war aspect to it. Instead it's all about efficiency, the economy, and of course linking everything together. I really like the premise and that the game is focusing on a few things instead of everything. Cataclysm. This one will be released next month and it's a real-time strategy game with base building. You also have to fend off waves of enemies during the night, and these waves of enemies looks to be big and challenging. During the day you can build preset buildings, but you can also build whatever you want brick by brick. There are over 100 different pieces to build with as you optimize the production within your castle. To defend you also have different troops with different specialities. You have equipment like flaming arrows, poison, claw traps and much more. Looks like a lot of fun, like that you can build whatever you want. I just hope the game doesn't have too much micromanagement, but yeah, I can't wait to play this one. Orbital Bullet, the 360 roguelite. This is a more straightforward game than most in this video. The title kind of explains what the whole game is all about. The game is played in a circular arena where you need to platform a lot and shoot even more. I have played a tower defense like this and a Tetris game, but never a roguelike shooter. It's a very standard roguelite outside of the circular arena. You have a ton of guns, upgrades, there are a few classes, you have your skill tree. Nothing really surprising, but then again it doesn't have to be. But I do really like the game style here and that they're trying something new. Dformatic, this is a beautiful game. Much like Teran Nil, this is more a relaxing and chill experience. The game is all about placing tiles and create an ever-expanding landscape with them. You start with a bunch of tiles, but to get more you need to complete small quests. Like a windmill wants fields around it, a locomotive needs to be connected to at least 10 tracks. And if you complete these small quests you will be rewarded with more tiles. Whenever you run out of tiles, the game ends. So it really becomes like a puzzle game where you have to think carefully where you place all the tiles. And then you of course have a scoring system, so there is a reason to play again, as you can always try to beat your high score. You also have a sandbox mode where you can create wherever you want. The game reminds me a lot of Cataclysm, and I'm guessing that's where they got their inspiration, but I really like the twist that you're just gonna build and build instead. Next up we have Prospector. And of course, You are a prospector in the game. This is a survival crafting game, but feels a bit more simplistic in its execution than these games usually are. Here, you establish an outpost on a remote planet, collect resources to start building it out. You can craft robots to help you automate your outpost and your production to unlock more buildings and recipes to craft. Their game really has some beautiful pixel graphics, a very pleasant art style. This one isn't out yet, but will be released sometime this year, so keep an eye out for that one. Then we have Hero's Hour. I think the easiest comparison is to Total War. Much like in Total War, the game here is played in turns on the world map, and then when you enter a battle, it's played in real time. I really like this formula, as you can take your time planning out the game and then have some fast-paced action when it really matters. The game is also filled with 11 factions, 22 heroes, 177 different units, a lot of abilities, spells, artifacts. I mean, there's a lot of replayability in this game. And then you can also play it in co-op or in PvP. It really feels like a fleshed out experience. Rogue Genesia is an action roguelite where you take on thousands of monsters and hard bosses in order to save worlds. The game have a map structure much like Slay the Spire, where you choose your own path. The game also has some old school graphics with a lot of detail. It creates a very unique look when you combine pixel graphics with 3D objects. The game plays a lot like Vampire Survivors, but here you have over 170 different passive upgrades to create your own build from. There's also more than 60 weapons and a lot of powerful artifacts to find. The game is still in early access with no specific date for the release yet, unfortunately, but there's still a lot of fun to be had in this title. I hope you found a game or two that you haven't played yet. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to leave a like if you liked the video. Have a great day and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.